Welcome to the Panic Room, where we talk about all things panic-inducing. I am the Queen of Panic. Warning, some episodes may contain content that may be disturbing to others. Viewer discretion is advised. Now let the games begin. Grandma's basement was off limits. I shouldn't have gone down there, but I did, and I've regretted it ever since. I was 9 years old when it happened. My father was forced to work night overtime, so he dropped me off at my grandma's for the night. I cried and cried, pleading not to be left alone with her. After much fuss, Dad promised he'd try and pick me up later, but only if he finished work early. His eyes were doubtful and didn't soothe me one bit. Grandma had a devil's temper. Mean as a junkyard dog she was, and twice as ugly. Her crinkly skin clung tightly to brittle bones, but her eyes never wavered. They'd cut you down to size in an instant. That and her voice, which sounded like an ashtray.
"Go fetch my walker,"
she ordered from her spot on the couch the moment I arrived.
"And cold root beer from the fridge while you're at it."
I did. When I returned, she was snoring. Drops of drool decorated her furrowed face. I didn't want to disturb her. I wouldn't dare. So I left the walker leaning against the couch and placed the soda on the coffee table, next to the remote control. Her home was stuffy and dungeon dark, with boxes of junk lining the flowery walls, like ivory towers. I didn't have a cell phone or iPad, and her computer was ancient. There was one TV, and it was so loud my ears were bleeding. My grandmother had no pets, nor friends to speak of. Ugh, even her food sucked. I didn't know what to do, so I changed the channel. Big mistake.
"How dare you?"
She snapped like a crocodile.
"I was watching CNN."
She wasn't. But I wasn't about to mention this. Soon, Grandma was snoring again, but I didn't dare change the channel. I went about searching for stuff to play with, but my search was in vain. I checked the time. A half hour had passed. Ugh! I had to do something. Anything. There was only one place I could think of. One place left unexplored. The basement. But I had been warned.
"Never go down there. Period."
But what choice did I have? Besides, I was young and naive. Being carved up and killed was way beyond my comprehension. 9-year-olds don't get murdered by their grandmothers. Even in horror movies, they don't. The door creaked open, seemingly on its own. I tiptoed towards the edge of the stairs and peered down. I couldn't see the bottom, but something was down. Somehow, I knew this. I imagined the worst. Snakes and spiders, and rats and things. My tummy tightened. There was no way I was going down there. No way, not happening, I told myself. But I didn't listen. I wished I had. Slowly, I descended the rickety stairs, near certain something would jump out. Something did. A rat. The creepy critter crawled across my foot, before scurrying into the darkness. I stifled a scream, then frantically found a light switch, which was coated in cobwebs. The light was pale and narrow. Strange shadows danced along the drab and dreary walls, like marionettes. Suddenly, I was scared. Terrified, in fact. No wonder. I could barely see my own hand in front of my face. Still, I crept onward, gripping the handrail like my life depended on it. Something snapped. The sound was explosive. I froze. My mind went into overdrive. I feared the worst, that Grandma was standing on top of the stairs, smiling with bad intentions. I turned to check. She wasn't. Phew. With each passing step, the smell grew worse, like moldy mushrooms. I gagged. Who could stand such a smell? The feeling of being watched grew stronger with each step, until finally, I reached the bottom of the stairs.
Go back upstairs.
A tiny voice warned me.
Now!
The voice was correct. My 9-year-old self had had enough. I turned, ready to charge upstairs, when the door slammed shut. I gulped. For a moment, time stood still. The air was moist and thick. A bad taste was forming in my mouth. The idea that I was trapped in the basement was gnawing at me. But still, I soldiered on. It was just a basement, I told myself. How bad could it be? I went searching for a light switch, when I came upon a stack of dilapidated boxes. After peeling away a dusty layer of cobwebs, I tore open the boxes, eager to see what awaited. Sigh. Nothing but appliances, TV guides, and old 45s. With my hopes of finding long-lost treasure obliterated, I decided to get my butt back upstairs, before Grandma noticed I was missing. I was edging toward the stairs when something caught my eye. A treasure chest. It was big and battered, with black clasps and red faded trimming running along its sides. In its center was a large golden lock, begging to be opened. As I got closer, the stench intensified. Clearly this is where the smell was coming from. With my mouth under my shirt, I wrapped my hands around the large lock and gave it a tug. It wouldn't budge. Not to be deterred, I kicked the lock with the heel of my foot. It worked. The chest popped open. As the dust settled, horror stole my heart. My mind bent in all the wrong places. This made no sense. No sense at all. Must be fake. But there it was, staring me in the face. Fingers. Wormy and shriveled and gross. Some had nails attached. Others were bloodied stumps. I rubbed my eyes, praying this was a hoax. It wasn't. Worse, the fingers were stuffed inside human skulls, nesting upon a bed of brittle bones. I counted 20 skull caps, maybe more. One skull in particular stole my attention. The skull was well preserved, and filled with fresh human fingers, one of which wore a wedding ring. Unadulterated horror descended upon me. Then came sadness. You see, my mother disappeared the previous summer. She'd been delivering winter supplies to Grandma when she vanished. Poof! Just like that. Apparently, she never made it to Grandma's. It was believed she simply packed up and left. I stared at the freshest skullcap, the one with the wedding ring, and winced. Was that my mother? My heart fell to the floor. My eyes swelled with tears. Then the unthinkable happened.
Johnny, come quick.
Grandma! My heart leapt inside my throat. I nearly choked. Then, without thinking, I darted upstairs. The door wouldn't budge. I kicked and clawed, pulled and prodded with all of my might.
Johnny?
Grandma's voice quivered.
Come quick, I'm hungry.
I took a deep breath, then tried again. Nothing. Without warning, the one and only light flicked off, and a deep darkness fell upon me. Then a terrible thought arrived. I hadn't closed the chest. She'll know.
Johnny!
Too late now. I cranked the door handle with everything I had. Click. It opened. When I returned to the living room, Grandma was wielding a razor-sharp knife. Her eyes were oceans of murder.
You shouldn't have gone down there, Johnny.
I tried to say something, anything, but failed.
What on God's green earth am I to do with you?
Using the switchblade knife, she patted the seat next to her on the Chesterfield. I couldn't resist. Her eyes were tractor beams, pulling me closer. The moment I sat down, her icy fingers roped around my wrist. The knife kissed my throat.
Don't move.
With alarming speed, she produced a roll of duct tape from the closet.
This will only hurt for a minute.
I regarded the steely knife and gulped. I was terrified. My heart was pounding through my t-shirt. I didn't want to die a gruesome death. No way. But I didn't dare budge. Grandma rolled up her sleeves, then cut a long piece of tape. The knife cut effortlessly. She sat up next to me, clutching both knife and tape.
It should have never come to this, Johnny. But...
Headlights splashed across the drapes, and a car pulled into the driveway. "Daddy!" My grandmother winced, but the knife never wavered. I leapt from the couch and rushed outside, greeting my dad with open arms. He poked his head inside and said goodbye. Grandma smiled politely, but her eyes were ablaze. The knife and tape disappeared. On the way home, I asked my father about Mom. He talked about the day they'd met, a story I'll never get sick of hearing. His voice quivered as he spoke. I wanted to bring up Grandma, her box of fingers and skulls, her knife and tape, but I didn't. Something in her eyes warned me not to. Grandma died later that year. Father cleared the house before selling it. No one was allowed to help. No funeral was held, and Father never spoke of Grandma again. Ever. In time, life went back to normal, whatever that means, and Grandma's basement became a distant memory. Except, of course, in my dreams, where her basement still haunts me, even as an adult. Last month, my father died. Cancer finally got the best of him. When I cleared out his home, I stumbled upon something peculiar. Mother's wedding dress. Wrapped inside were some items of interest. A skull cap, fingers, and a wedding ring. He knew. If you have any stories that you would like to see narrated here on the channel, please go into the subreddit and submit them there. The link is in the description. Also, we do have a Discord now. Thank you so much to Creepy Clown Girl for putting it together for us. You can come hang out with me and other narrators and get the party started, get spooky with us. That link is also in the description as well. And last but certainly not least, I wanted to introduce the King of Panic. We have a lot of brand new content coming soon with him in it. He is very talented. He does not have his own channel. He just kind of wants to be a part of this. So if you would like to hear from him once you start and you like his voice, stay tuned here. And as always, thank you for visiting the Panic Room. You have successfully made it to the next portion of your tour. Please stay tuned for your next prompt. Click the like button and subscribe to receive notifications for when the next portion of your tour is ready to join. Thank you for watching. Don't let the panic drown you.